If you're trying to quit your job from land flipping, you need to learn how to land flip. Whether it's YouTube University or anyone else,
you really need to be able to analyze that data and understand, okay, this is my deal flow. This is me staying consistent. This is what the numbers look like. I know I can quit within 6 months to a year based off of those numbers. So
stepping up from that, you need to market consistently. Like if you're trying to quit your job, you need to market consistently. Consistency is everything.
Very rarely do I hear someone say, oh, I love what I do. I just want to supplement my income. I would probably say 98%. People
That's crazy.
want to quit their 9 to 5, which is why they do land flipping.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Apke, joined by my co-host today, Anthony Weiler. And today, Anthony, we are talking about quitting your job, or the steps really to get out of your job, your 9 to 5 job, from land flipping. And the reason I want to talk about this is we've been seeing it come up more. We had Dylan on the podcast a month ago or so, and Dylan just quit his corporate job. Still doing some hours somewhere, but he quit his corporate job to basically focus on land flipping, and he did it fast. One thing I don't like when people do is just like force it and try to quit too fast and do that stuff, and it creates stress, and then it creates like they're thinking about every dime they spend. But let's get into it. What are your thoughts and like what's a normal timeline for quitting your job from land flipping? Let's just get right to it.
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I think a lot of people who come into this, the main goal is they want to leave their 9 to 5. A lot of people don't like what they do, which is unfortunate, but that's the great thing with, land flipping and what we offer. And we always tell people too, once you should start seeing momentum within, I would say 3 to 6 months, but things really start to take off within that first year, or once you get closer to that first year. That's when you're getting tons of deals in the pipeline. You understand what good months look like, what bad months look like, and you just have a really good consensus or data in terms of what's working, what's not working, and then you can really move the ball forward. So I would say, long story short, 1 year is a good timeline or goal.
Where you're not forcing it too much. 100% agree. There's people who do it shorter. There's obviously people who it takes longer. They never end up quitting. But let's start from the beginning. So the first step, if you're watching this, you haven't started land flip, you haven't done any deals, and then if you have done deals, you can see where you are in the process and then go from there. But the first step is education. Like you need to, whether it's YouTube University or anyone else, wherever you're learning from, if you're trying to quit your job from land flipping, you need to learn how to land flip. So that education phase is one that I don't want to say people ignore. They expedite it. They try to do it fast, which is great. Like you definitely can learn about this stuff really fast. But that's definitely the first step really in doing anything.
Yeah. And the biggest thing too is just understanding, your strong points or your weak points. And then education is huge. If you try to skip education, you don't have the strategies or frameworks in place, then you're going to make mistakes and you're going to lose money. So that all depends on your risk profile as well. But yeah, like you said, totally up to the individual and how people learn.
Yeah. So going from education, you learn from a course, you learn from YouTube, wherever you learn from. Then you're going to start to take action. You start to send mail. You're going to start to send text. You're going to start to cold call. Whatever your strategy is, you need to take action. Yeah. And sadly, Anthony, sometimes taking action education can cost something, but taking action typically is going to cost some more money, like taking action, starting your business. So education is, whatever business you're starting, if you're starting a plumbing business, like you need to learn first, and then you need to take action. And a lot of times when you take action, that's going to cost some money too. So with land flipping, taking an action is sending mail, which costs money, sending text, which costs money, cold calling, which can cost money. You're going to need to get the data, whatever it is. So that's really the next thing. And sadly, don't you see a lot of people they learn something, or maybe they partially learn something. They're like, crap, this isn't for me. And they give themselves an excuse. That's what I see.
It's funny too, because there's sometimes when I do phone calls with people, it's not necessarily like, okay, this is the game plan, this is what we need to do. A lot of the conversations is actually mental obstacles.
Yep.
Is, spending that money, which is understandable. A lot of people getting into this is the first business that they're running. So like you said, starting any business, you're gonna have to learn something completely new, right? That's gonna be foreign to you. You're gonna have to get over that. And then you have to spend money on mailers. You're gonna have to work leads if you don't have a sales background. Like I could just see in someone's head, what that thought process looks like, just because of all the calls that I've had. But yeah, like you said, it's just getting over those mental hurdles is so important. But that stops people from taking action. And then I think it's just rewiring your thought process. It's like, oh, well, what if this doesn't work? It's like, well, what if you don't do anything? Do you want to live with yourself looking back? Like I invested in education and there's this model and I'm seeing people in the member success channel and Discord. I'm hearing other people talk about it, but then I decided not to. Like if you want to live with that, that's fine. But I'm more so driven by fear of not doing. So I think just little tweaks like that can be really helpful.
Yeah, I can be pessimistic about some stuff like that, but what I always look at is what you're saying. Like, what is the risk of me doing something versus what is the risk of me not doing something? And almost always me not doing something, me missing, even if it's just an experience, like and it's an experience thing. You say no to a friend that's doing something that you've never done before, saying no to sending mail, saying no to whatever it is, starting that business, refusing to do it, giving yourself those mental obstacles that Anthony's talking about. There's just a lot more, from my perspective, there's a lot more to lose from not doing something a lot of times than doing. Not all situations. There's bad things that you can do. Right. Like there's bad things you can do. I don't want to say like everything. Like you haven't tried that drug. Like you're screwed if you haven't tried that drug. But yeah, just taking action, getting to that point, and a lot of the stuff like we need getting people from that step is hard, and a lot of times you can see like from their doubt, their self-doubt, and you can get over those barriers for sure. You just gotta, it's positive. You gotta surround yourself with successful land flippers. Listen to successful land flippers. Because there's a lot of bad noise out there, honestly. People who aren't doing anything that are talking shit. You know what I mean? There's people who aren't sending any mail who say land flipping doesn't work. There's people who aren't taking any action that says this and that. And like, if you let that noise get in, like it can change how your actions are. But going to that marketing, so taking action, I'm kind of saying taking action is that marketing. And stepping up from that, you need to market consistently. Like if you're trying to quit your job, whatever your goal is, if you're trying to quit your job in 6 months versus or 12 months or 3 months, whatever it is, you need to market consistently. You need to be more aggressive the sooner you're trying to quit your job. But consistency is everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we preach. I mean, all the time. Just think about it. We not only land flippers, but a big part of this is acquisitions. And to acquire land, you have to be efficient in marketing, and just think of marketing as a whole. Just if any business that you have, it's not going to go anywhere if you're not reaching out to people, telling them that the value that you could provide, which is an all cash offer, 2 to 3 weeks. We're able to take that off your plate, whatever you're going through, and then we're able to, sell it on the back end, 90 to 100% of market value. And if you're not reaching out to people, if you're not having conversations, what do you think is going to happen? Nothing's going to happen, right? So if you're not consistent, there's going to be dead periods. You're just going to be waiting. You're not going to be really doing anything other than just continuously learning your education. But if you're not being consistent, you're just going to have those dead periods. And I think that's where people lose a lot of momentum, is once you send that first mailer out, you start getting proof of concepts, you have another one lined up, you're sending that, you're having more conversations, things just keep building and building. If not, again, you're just waiting.
Yeah. And thing is, this episode, like, it sounds basic. Everything we're saying, like, you need to learn, you need to take action, you need to be consistent. That's the 3 things we've said thus far. It can apply to absolutely anything. But again, like those negative things in your head, like it sounds so obvious when we're saying, and this is what successful people do. This is what successful land flippers do. This is what Dylan did, and why Dylan quit his job in 3 months from starting the education phase. He quit his job 3-4 months later. Listen to that episode if you haven't. But going from there, like you're marketing consistently, then you're going to start getting some deals. So now we're going to get into more, like, obviously we've talked about land, but land specific things, as you're going to start having some deal flow. And the key when you have deal flow coming in is continually marketing. Like we talked about, consistent with that. It's easy to market when you don't have anything for sale. Like it's not that hard to get the mail out time-wise, everything like that. Mentally, maybe you can have some hurdles, but once you start having, and you've dealt with this, like you start having some properties for sale, you're like, okay, I'm going to try to sell these. And then you're like, crap, I haven't sent mail in 2 weeks. And then it can kind of, you make it can snowball. Like it can snowball not doing the marketing part because you have properties for sale. And then you lose deal flow. Deal flow is key to quitting your job. If you want to quit your job, how do you make $20,000, $10,000 a month in this business? You need to have consistent deal flow. And with that, you need consistent marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And a common mistake that I see people when they're first starting off too is their first few deals is they spend a lot of their marketing capital funding that deal, which I totally get sometimes, because when I'm on the phone with people, I'm like, hey, I get it. Who doesn't want 100% of the profit, right? But at the same time, though, you're taking away all of your marketing capital, and you put something on the market. It's like, okay, well, you have to work buyers, or you have to work leads that are coming in of people who want to buy. You get it under contract, and if there's contingencies, it could take a month, it could take even longer. We don't want that though. You want to close within 2 to 3 weeks. But you have that waiting period, and then you don't have any marketing capital, and that's just a huge dead period in your business. So like you said, you have to have more deals coming across your plate, and you really need to be able to analyze that data and understand, okay, this is my deal flow. This is me staying consistent. This is what the numbers look like. I know I can quit within 6 months to a year, like how Dylan did. Actually quicker, just based off of those numbers. So again, be really smart with what you're doing with your deals. But the biggest thing is marketing.
Absolutely.
Acquisitions is the biggest thing by far.
Yeah. So that's basically it, to be honest with you guys. Like, there's not much more to it. What are your thoughts? Like, there's a lot of, based on your personal situation, like it's going to be like, okay, I need X dollars saved up. I need to be making X dollars for X months in a row, versus a 22-year-old who makes $8,000 their third month in land flipping and they're ready to quit. Like, they're ready to go. It's very situational. So I want you guys, as you're creating a plan for this, like, what does it look like for me to quit this job? Like, what do I need saved up? What do I need on a monthly basis? How do I need to feel about this business? And you literally just have those check boxes when you're starting this business. I think you should have these check boxes, because you see people have these check boxes when they start, and then like they hit those check boxes, like that's time to quit now. Like you checked all those boxes off, like you should be ready to go. And they're like, oh, but I need to do X. Oh, but I don't have good deals in the pipeline, and there's excuses with it. Like, create your check boxes. What does it look like? I want to quit my job in 12 months. Here's what I need to be doing to do that and comfortably do that. If you, maybe you're a very, you're not, you can take on a lot of risk, and your check boxes are very short, but you need that to kind of make that. And then once you hit that last check box, you're ready to go.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I like that a lot. That's actually what I have on my list, is what's your risk profile, and it's very situational based. Like, someone for me, like me, I had over $100,000 worth of private student loan debt, right? So it's like, okay, there's a lot going on here, and my wife too has some student loan debt. Unlike other people too, like Dylan's a great example. He's like, oh, he has a few Airbnbs, he's cash flowing, and so he has other things in the pipeline. And then for someone like me, it's like, okay, well, land flipping, and at the time I was only making like 45 grand at the time as a funding analyst. So my risk profile was completely different too. Or just, what I needed to do to be able to quit my 9 to 5, right? So just having a detailed list, like you said, of checking off your boxes. Make sure you have money aside too for taxes. Have that into account. A lot of people, I think, ignore that, or they don't set that up. I really recommend looking at those interviews with the sheesh. Those are great. And just understanding what that looks like. But no, I completely agree.
Yeah, and it's create a plan. Like, you need a plan for this. It's not something that's typically just going to happen. And a lot of people, like, when it's time, it's just taking that step's difficult. But that freedom, you might be stressed this hell of a day after you quit your job. Like, it might be like, I remember quitting jobs. I remember taking on entrepreneurship full time. Like, it's stressful. Like, okay, this is me now. Like, it's me. Yeah. There's no paycheck coming in 2 weeks if I don't make something happen. But the freedom that can provide, and that's what we're all about here. Like, the freedom that land flipping can provide in a short amount of time is why we are preaching this. That's why we're doing this episode, because so many, what percentage of people's goals are quitting their job who come in this?
It has to. Very rarely do I hear someone say, oh, I love what I do, I just want to supplement my income. I would probably say 98% of people
That's crazy.
want to quit their 9 to 5, which is why they do land flipping.
Yeah, it's a goal to get out. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Being a full-time entrepreneur has its stresses for sure, but the benefits are there. Other than that, guys, let me know what you think about this. If you're watching this on YouTube, in the comments below, what your goals are for land flipping. If you're trying to quit your job, if you guys are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, share this with a friend. It really helps. Other than that, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.
As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.